just basically, I thought I've had a lot of questions about the Reliants over the time I've owned them. I thought this would be a quite good one to do so that people can kind of get some of the answers to them, I guess. So I guess I'll start with the biggest question I've gotten asked always, seems to always come up, is what actually got you into Reliants? That's quite an old answer. What got me into these three-wheeled Reliants was when I was, Christ, little. I don't know how old I would have been, but everyone will remember Mr. Buch and the little blue three-wheeled van that used to always seem to get in the way of the Mini or roll it over or something like that. Since then I was always determined that I wanted to own a Reliant. Well, back then I called it a Robin Reliant because I didn't know anything about them and I was just told that's what they were called. So over the years, never seemed to happen. And it ended up I got into stationary engine restoration, so I did a couple of them. Then got into motorbike restoration. It's both thanks to my granda. And I started restoring motorbikes and got quite big into them for a few years. So there was a BSA Bantam D1 that started me really into the bigger restorations, and I've progressed over the time, done quite a few British bikes. Then in 2000 and I think it was 12, I bought, getting at work, I work as a flat roofer and we always buy the paper in the morning, and I've always bought the Press and Journal. Front page, I still remember it, it was a story about a house fire, and the first thing I spotted on this paper, it was showing you the house, the old burnt out, and it was just a overgrown kind of round about it. And here's the front of this little car, a brown car sticking out to the weeds. I thought, I wonder what that is. So I spent ages going over the photo trying to work out the number plate. I could work out D, and it was either an O or a D, M, 7X. And I did find the number plate, and I was really surprised to find out it was a Robin. What shocked me even more was what happened next when I found out that my grandfather, that was a local Sparky, was working to the farmer next door to it, who was buying the property. And I went on to him for, it must have been about half a year, saying, I want that car. And right enough, that was probably about March time, I seen it in the paper. About October time, I think it was, we got told, oh, if you come up and you can pick up the car. So we went up. The whole time I was trying to get this Reliant, by the way, I was told, what the hell do you want that old pile of scrap for? But anyway, we went up, picked up this Reliant Mark 1 Robin estate, and I'll put photos in here so you can see what kind of state it was in. And yeah, it was quite a mess. Because it had been next to the fire, it had Perspex windows in the back of it. I don't think any of them are still lying about here, I think I've binned them all. But the heat of the fire had melted the windows out of it. It had also bubbled all the gel coating behind the passenger side. And to make matters worse, when it went up to the point that the car had to be shifted for the fire service, I think it was a fire service, it was one of the services anyway. The car got picked up with a demolition grabber, and the two door pillars were caved in. One of them fell out when I picked it up. The window pillars were both snapped, and the centre of the windscreen pillar was snapped. Surprisingly, the window was still in one piece. But yeah, I got the whole thing out and took it back. No front wheel, no petrol tank on it. So it was just a two-wheeler Reliant I bought. But fast forward from November October 2011 to 2015, that wreck was rebuilt, and it's sitting right behind the camera, which I will show you just now, just to let you see it. This is the car that I picked up from that well, the photos that you'll have seen of it, if I've managed to splice them in. What I'll do is I'm going to turn the camera around so you can see a lot better. So this is the 1981 Reliant Robin that I saved for this being scrapped. This was the pillar that fell out. Got in the local paper after that as well. Surprisingly got in the paper actually I found it in. It did have a beige interior, or tan interior even. The seats were completely knackered, so I got this tartan set for it, which looks brilliant. Original dash, original gauges. That was the mirrors that was on it. It's quite aged, this one. This was my first take on and it's not spot on. This is the one that I learned never put the fiberglass on the top of the paintwork, always put it underneath the bodywork when you can. So I mean this one's it's had a few bits. I mean there was a little bit there obviously when I've never noticed it, and it's ended up being painted over the topo, which ain't the best. I'm wanting to redo this car in the future and get it done right. Because obviously the blisterings all started to come through again from the fire damage. That was all just, this whole bit was covered with these little cracks, and it's just the gel coat bursting out again. But it will be done. I think there is photos of this one, in case I haven't been able to attach them. They're in here. This is all my gear. I need to sort out a collection thing for the back of here. Right, pick up that. That's an old thing. And here's how I found it. Basically, well, you see the windows melted out there, pillars all folded over. In fact, I'll just use this instead of putting photos in. So it gives you an idea how bad this car was. That's when we collected it. Took it home, put it on 2 blocks, well, concrete blocks. And then that was halfway through doing the bodywork. This was really a guess in the dark when doing this one up, since I'd never done one before. And here you see rebuilding the pillar. Completely fallen out. These two were all broken. That's rebuilding the pillar in place, which I wish I'd done from the inside. Same with them, you see all the patches on the outside of the bodywork, which should be the inside. But that 56er weight on the roof was actually to force the roof back into its original position. Anyway, I'll go back, I'll stop this one and I'll go back to answering some questions about this. Right, so that's the 81 Robin. I didn't even finish that one when December 2014 it was. Just after Christmas. I'd been in seeing about getting headlight bits for that the 81 Robin estate. And just by chance, I was in the local garage and I got told, oh, you found a Reliant Robin as well. They were speaking to this other guy who was debating about buying it to use as a advertising mint. But the odd asked if I would be interested in it, and at the time I just thought, oh, it's not really worth it. It just stuck with me. Okay, it really got stuck in my head, and I thought, oh, I quite like the idea of going ahead and look at it even. So I put a figure in mind for what it would be worth, and I went away to look at it. And right enough, I went down. It was Aberdeenshire again, so still local to me, less than half an hour away. On the way down, the guy said to me, if you offer him this amount, I'm sure he'll get it, which was really a lot less than I was thinking. In fact, I didn't even have a price. That's a false fact I've told you there. I remember now, I didn't have a price in it because I had no intention of buying it. I just wanted to have a look at it. The price he said to me on the way there, I decided no, I'm I'm going to offer it and see what I get. So went down to look at it, and here's this red Reliant Saloon. Wheels half buried in the ground. Looking very sorry for itself. And yeah, I made an offer for it. And I got a phone call the next day saying I've got it. So I went down, me, my brother-in-law and my granda, who just kind of supervised, shall I say. And my brother-in-law lifted the car out of the ground, put bits of plywood below its wheels so it could be rolled. Although it didn't roll, it was seized solid. And I had a hand winch in the back of our flat wattle truck, so winched it up with arms, pulled the winch out the floor twice, and then we got it on. And I'll put a photo in of it. Well, if I can't, it'll just be as I'm doing the video. And I started restoring it in 2015, in January time, and I finished it for the end of 2015. On Christmas Day I had the thing rebuilt, painted and running on just a year later, and I thought that was really impressive. So it's also sitting outside, so I'll probably cut this video and do a walk around it, because this story is getting somewhere, hopefully answering a lot of questions more than just what I started out. But I'll show you around the second Robin. So here it is. This is the 1976 red Saloon that I saved. This was the second one I restored. Changed it to blue obviously, because I decided at the time I can't have two red Robins. I wanted something different. We'll get to that one in a minute. That one there's coming up next, I think it is. So yeah, this one I did up, and being the way I bought it, I thought, right, I'll restore it and I'll sell it. And by Christ, when I restored it, I just fell for the car. I thought, this is fantastic. It's a sports exhaust on it. It's been to quite a few shows, as you see, Blast from the Past, sticker from Scottish Car Show, that eBay one came from. And then it was also in the showcase arena at the Scottish Car Show. And as you can see there, that's how the car was when I seen it. And then stripped it down. And then repainted it all. This was my idea, the chrome and blue. I really like the look of it. It's a pearlescent blue, this car. And it just really shines. And cosmic alloys, which were an optional extra for this car when it was new. Desmo wing mirrors. This was a time I did not realise how rare these were. This car, when I got it, had a seized engine and no thermostat in it, which I've later found out since then that the thermostat was taken out because the head gasket was blowing on it when it was owned by someone in Ballater. But the engine, surprisingly enough, after sitting with oil in it for about 2-3 months, came free. I made the mistake of not building it. I left this car in one piece thinking, oh, that'll get it going. Started it up and it smoked like hell, and it turned out that the rings were stuck. So a new set of pistons, new set of big end bearings on it, and it's good as new. It really runs spot on. I mean, this is a really fun car to drive. Because I felt this was going to be the last Reliant I restored, and I quite wanted a super, I actually fitted the 2 super gauges in it. So you've got the oil pressure gauge and a voltage gauge. Also it's got a radio, just a work off Bluetooth. I'm actually going to fit a aerial onto this car at some point just to have the normal radio stations as well. Completely original car again. Earlier style gauges on it. It's not high mileage either, it's only doing 51,000, nearly 52,000 now. Original seats, which you fairly realise compared to the next car that I'll be moving on to. The back one's actually a replacement, because I remember the back one, I fitted it in, bolted it in place, I sat down in it and the back of it just ripped completely. Just dried out with the sun. So right, anyway, before I make this too long, we'll jump onto the next car. I'll speak about it just now and then I'll tell you the story about it. Well, no, I'll tell you a story about it, then I'll show you it. So yeah, I restored that blue car. There was a big reason it got done in a year. The red car got attention, or the red Robin got attention out at shows, and it actually got me given a Scammell Scarab, which is not featured in this because this is a solely Reliant based video, so we're going to skip out the whole time of that. But basically, because I was doing the Scammell, the next Robin I got took longer to do. So basically, it was the second show I was out to with the blue Robin. It was just before it actually. My dad got a phone call from another local guy who knew me. I know him quite well now. And he said, I've got a Reliant, would Lewis be interested in it for bits? Now at this time I'd obviously decided I wasn't doing another one, but a spares car, I thought, well, I'll go and have a look at it. So I went over to have a look at this car. And right enough, it was a line and it looked, it was old and aged and it had some damage. The bumper was cracked right behind the front, the overriders, some of them were missing. I knew straight away when I looked at it, it was a Supervan. So I knew it was worth saving at that point. But it still was a debate to me because obviously I've already had the 850 Robin. Just the only thing missing off it for Super was the overriders. So I went and decided to have a look around it. Looked around it, oh aye, same things, same wheels, same headlights. Opened the bonnet and all of a sudden I went, oh, this is different. It was a 750 Robin. Earlier, quite rare. The deal was made, which I gave him the back axle for the car and I would keep the rest of it, which we went back on. I actually got him the 850 axle because I found out 750s aren't easy to get again, and ended up getting the whole car to restore. So I took it on. This is the last Reliant Robin I restored. It was done, it took me till 2018 I believe it was to finish it, middle of 2018. Started it in 2015-ish, no 2016. And it's a lovely little car, I quite like it. Low mileage, it's only been about 30,000. It had another bottom end rebuild, new pistons fitted to it I think it was. Chassis was cleaned up, there was hardly anything wrong with it, unlike the blue one, which I forgot to add, did have a bit of rot in the chassis which had to be sorted. But yeah, I got that yellow one and absolutely loved the car. So I'll have a quick walk through it. There's not a lot to say about it. It's been to a couple of shows, it's a nice little car, it's quite slow. I think I've maybe put the wrong jet in the carburetor because it doesn't have just as much oomph as you want it to have. I'll have a walk around it and let you see it. On to the next thing. So here we have it. This is the 1975 Super Robin. In yellow again, because I didn't want it to be any other colour since this was its original. Only difference is I upgraded the yellow. It's the same shade as the original, but I've made it a pearlescent yellow, so it's a lot more brighter. Well, this is more actually a registered car. Quite a few differences to the 850. Inside it, it's the original back seats, new old stock front seats. Again, a radio hole was cut out of the dash in this one, so I utilised it and put a radio back in it. And the only other addition I've done is this, because there's no access hole into the carburetor in these cars, and it was a nightmare, so I decided to make one myself. So that is actually a Mackey's ice cream tub lid with a bit of carpet stuck in it. And just so you can also see how I noticed this was an 750, might also make you aware if you're looking in future. Although don't rely on this because some of them do get the SUs fitted to them. As soon as I opened up that, I seen that carburetor and air filter and I went, oh, that's different. And that's what the 750s had. It's also the same setup as the 700 Reliants. I'll close that. This car is a lovely little thing. What I'll do is save me splicing in photos in. There's photos in the back of this one as well. Once I recover one of the photos of it, because it blew out when I was driving it the other day. So here's the photos of it outside, the day the chassis and shell was removed. That was the night it came home. It's hard to see the bumper split there, but it actually is. The door was all smashed as well, fiberglass on the outside. It peeled off in mostly a whole piece, surprisingly. And that's actually a genuine new old stock Robin, Super Robin sticker. And I think, no, this was all new numbers on this one. New old stock Rover Riders, new old stock rear lights. A lovely little car. And obviously different grille to the later ones. That was actually the original one re-chromed. But anyway, I'll move on to the next car, which is going to go quite fast now. Right. So, after that Robin, things kind of came to an end. Because I'd been adamant I'm not doing another Robin. That could change. I mean, one might come along, and if it is just desperately needing saved, I might save it, but it might not get this full restoration as these have. Because you get so used to sanding the same bits of them, and you always leave the worst bits to last. But anyway, last year was fun. I started getting something different. I got offered a Reliant Regal 330. The owner wanted to go to a good home. Little did I know at the time, this car was already known to my family years ago, because it used to be a friend of my great granddad's. And he's been in the car as well years ago and has some scary memories of it skipping round corners. Unfortunately, I can't show you the car because it's not here. It's currently in the Grampian Transport Museum at Afford. It went in there back in January, and unfortunately because of COVID-19, it's just sitting there just now. But hopefully once all this passes over and it'll be there, once they get to open, people will get to see it again. But I'll definitely splice in a photo of it here. It's a lovely little turquoise car. I set myself a challenge when I got it. I was invited to taste a Grampian with ballast from the past. I got it running within, what was it, no, I got the brakes done the first week. The second week, because it was 2 weeks to blast with the past when I bought the car. No, blast with the past, taste a Grampian. Second week I got it running. And I drove it to taste the Grampian. I had one mishap where it overheated and put a heap of water out, landed on the exhaust, and there was steam everywhere. It was crazy. But I made it. I sorted it now. It was a blocked radiator, so it's all working perfect. But that car is a lovely little thing. I love that Saloon. It's such an amazing little thing to drive. Totally different for the Robin's big steering wheel. It's more sways. It's so much enjoyable. I mean, really lovely car. But that's all I can say about it. I'll splice in some photos and you'll see the next bit. Right, now this next one is also not here. It's not in a museum, it's actually being painted just now. At the moment I should be hopefully getting it back in the next couple of weeks, I'm hoping. Basically, what I have got out here is the number plates. It's the front number plate, which is scubby. I've got the back one, which is a bit too clean, but that might change. Basically, this Reliant, you'll find it, not for its number online, you'll recognise it, but if you search on Facebook for Reliant Supervan 3, you will see a green Supervan with its nose snapped in two. I will put in a photo of it here, well, after this video, because this van, you will honestly think that is not savable. And to be quite honest, when I first seen it, which was earlier on in the year, I thought, by Christ, that van is a load of scrap. Then, what changed was, I came across a chassis for a Supervan up here, which I then decided, right, I wonder if I can get a shell for one. If by this time, van had came down to a reasonable price. It was accepting offers. So I put an offer in, half what he was looking for, and I got it for I ended up getting it for that in the end. But that was because when he tried to move it, the whole nose fell off the car. But when I say fell off, he actually put a grinder through it. And he cut the suspension, he cut the prop shaft, and he cut bits of the chassis. Although it was rotten, it still completely knackered it. So this car came home to me in, I believe it was the beginning of November, end of October time. Sitting in two, sitting just where the yellow robin was, or where the yellow robin's sitting just today. There was literally nothing left to it. I mean, I was buying basically a shell, a number plate. The engine was there, C solid, wasn't the original because it didn't match the number on the plate. So they'd obviously been swapped at one time. Gearbox, axle, that was it. On the front end, which was separate. That van, you'll see from the photos after this, is totally different now. It's going into what a lot of people will probably not like, a trotter's replica. I was stuck between this van and having a blue van, but in the end I like the idea of having a trotter's replica because it's going to bring a lot of smiles to people who didn't even know the vehicle for what it originally was, but they'll know it from its TV what do you call it, TV appearances and TV fame. So what I'm going to do is, you'll see the photos now after this, and I'll do a later video of when the van comes back and when it's been built, and you'll get to see what it looks like now. But for now, there's no point in me stopping this video. Oh no, I will stop it so I can put the photos in, and then I'll continue it once you see them down. Right, basically, that's up to Reliant number 6. The beginning of this lockdown, I was putting photos of the scam on Facebook, trying to find photos of it when it was original, and I got a message offering me, asking if I'd be interested in how Allegro it was at first, which hasn't really came to anything. Then I got another photo saying that this yard was being cleared and there was an old helmet in it. But I spotted this blue van sitting in the background, which I recognised automatically. And it was a Supervan. I put an offer in for it, and I got the van, bought it blind, and obviously I didn't get to pick it up till it was safe to do so. And the van came home. Well, no, I shouldn't have started there. When the van was being picked up, the front nearly broke off with it because it was badly damaged, way worse than what I had thought it had been. But anyway, we got the van home, and I think it was about 2-3 weeks later, the van was back in one piece. You've been following the videos of it anyway on this channel, so you'll know what like it is. I'll do a quick walk around of it. I'm not going to spend ages on it because you know a lot about it already. The door of it is behind me and here, and well, both doors. The passenger one's still away, it's getting the colour teen off it. But I'll do a quick walk around this van and you'll get to see a bit more of it. Right, this is the Supervan I picked up. This was also the colour that I was tied between when I wanted to do the first one. So this was an ideal opportunity for me to do the van that I wanted to do all along. I mean, this is the thing that started me off wanting Reliants when I was little. Pardon me. A van that was blue and looked like this. Well, maybe not like this, restored. Completely stripped out, there's no interior in it. The switches and speedometer are all there. Running gear was not. Steering, the front end was still attached to it, surprisingly, steering and that. So it was all there. That corner was split from there all the way down, so that's a new piece grafted in. Reformed the front bottom corner. New piece from there, down there. Regrafted in that bit. And rebuilt this corner. Repaired there, repaired there. Bit in the hinge that was missing was repaired. Crack there repaired. Crack there repaired. Still got a few little cracks down here to sort, which I think's been a forklift. There are cracks there. And there's some sanding still to do. But then that'll be this one finished and ready for paint. It's obviously on a pallet just now. Its chassis is here, which I will show you briefly. I don't want this video to last too long, otherwise it'll make my whole video last ages. Basically, front end of, I think this is its chassis. I've got a couple of them. And here's the chassis that's supposed to be going on it. This was off the first Supervan, which as you can see was rotten and snapped and everything. This one's rotten, but I'm trying to get rails made up to match the originals to remake the chassis and transplant everything onto it. That's the plan at the moment. But anyway, front end as well, all there. Needs a little repair, I think it's at this side. And obviously the new rails will be going on it. So right, what I'll do is, I'll stop this here and we'll go on to something different. Right, so it's 6 Reliants you've seen. I have to admit, sanding down the Supervan has been very mind-numbing because a lot of it's been done by hand, because the 3M sanding discs I bought, and I will get one of these just now to prove that point, turned out to be rubbish. I've got one of my sanding discs here. Let me just get one of these discs, and yeah, brilliant kind of things. So I've ordered new ones of these, free ones. I'm never going for 3M again. The heat of the sanding paper was actually transferring through and melting the backing off of them, which then, once the backing went, the foam fell to bits. So that is not happening again. I do not believe how much dust came out of that. That must be full of dust. Right, before I breathe in all that, this horrible stuff, that actually landed in the van as well. This video I will release in a wee while. It'll probably be 2 weeks or so after I've made this. This is something that you won't know until I've decided it's a point to release it. And it might not even be here at that point yet. I was on Facebook seeing a lovely, well, I've been invited to a few groups not long after I bought our Supervan, and one of them, a lot of them are classics cars, unload classics, scrapyard finds, all this kind of things. I think it was unload classics this one was on. There was a Mark V Regal Saloon. I have to admit, I like old Regals. They're totally different to the boxier ones that replaced them. I mean, the only one I'm missing from my set is between my Supervans and Regal compared to the older ones was there was a version called the slatty front, which same shape of body but had a curved kind of bit in the centre where a grill fitted into it, which was all fiberglass. But anyway, I commented on the photo of this Regal 5 Mark 5 and I thought, wow, what a nice little car, really good. I think my comment was along the lines of there's quite a lot of potential to save it. There was something along that lines. It was related to saving the car, and a lad for doing in England it was got in contact with me, saying that he had a Regal that he was looking to possibly sell. So I was interested. A site 1959 side valve Regal, the Reliant. So he sent me the photos through it, and it was looking pretty sorry for itself. It's a lot of body grazing, which will take a lot of time to sort. It's been sitting, it must be about 30 years. I think it was 30 years. And I took a look at it, and I could see potential in it. Obviously I have to factor in, I've got to transport it up from there to here, which is quite a bit. But basically, I made a deal for it. So at the time, there's only there's 4 Reliants here, 2 of them away. One of them in the museum, one at the painters, but I bought a 7th one, which isn't here yet, but hopefully when I release this video it will be here. The 7th one is a 1959 Reliant Regal Mark 5 side valve. After I bought it, I realised I know nothing about side valves and I know nothing about these cars. So I was pretty quick to go and find a parts book for one and a workshop manual. So since then I've been able to source an original set of Lodge plugs for it. I've also managed to source the original heater hoses because they need replaced. There's only 2 on this car, so it's even easier. So I've had a few bits and pieces I've got for it already. All I need to do now is restore it. Only difference with this Regal is, this was the style before they came into the full fiberglass interior and exterior, well, full fiberglass shell, so to say. This one has plywood floors, ash framing, and a steel chassis. A fiberglass shell over it all. I'm still unsure how it works on this one, but I'm really looking forward to getting dug into it. I will be doing another restoration video series on it because there's not hardly any videos of the Mark 5, well, Mark 3, 4, 5 and 6 Regals. There's a couple of videos of a Mark 6 van, I think it is. So I'm going to do a series on it because I think it's going to be worthwhile. But there's not going to be, well no, I'll put the photos of it. Oh, will I? No, I won't. I'm not going to put any photos of that Regal on this video. You'll have to wait and I'll do an intro video for it when it appears. But at the moment it's looking like it could be the middle of June time before it's here. But I'm really looking forward to getting started on it. And it won't even be the biggest, well, it could turn into the biggest project I've taken on. What did surprise me more was when the lad messaged me the next day and it was sitting idling away quite happy. So it's a runner, it's free, it rolls, and I believe it drives as well. So couldn't have got much better with it. So I'm really looking forward to getting it up here and getting going. But I'm going to end this now. Hope you've enjoyed hearing a bit about what got me into Reliants and really seeing about the ones I've got here and the photos of the ones that aren't here. And there's not really much else to say. What I need to do now is finish this and potentially start parking things up. and get the red one to start because his battery's flat. So yeah, I want to get busy because I have a lot to do. But thanks for watching and please subscribe to the channel.